Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, Barry here again. Hey everybody, Barry here again. Back at it again. Truck stuff. And today it's not going to be rear frame stuff, which is kind of a breath of fresh air, I think. Even though, like, man, look at this. That is so sick. It's had a few days to cure now. The paint is dry. It was tacky for a couple of days because it's just so thick. And my girls went around like just slathering it on. It's like, that's perfect. So it's dry. It looks really, really good. I'm happy with it. There's a couple spots that I couldn't get with a brush that I think I'll just bury it in rust paint, like from a spray can, just to even it up and make it black, whatever. But first thing I want to talk about today is my wastegates came in. So this is DNA Motoring. It's the cheapest of the cheap China wastegates. I think they were like 72 bucks each Canadian. And they showed it. I had to put the valves in the drill press here and polish them with some sandpaper and some Scotch-Brite pad and stuff. So I polished those up and they came out really, really nice. Some metal in there, and anyway, I got a review video up on it if you want to check it out. It's just DNA Motoring wastegate review. And here's the hardware that came with it. It all looks actually half decent, but yeah, they're not too bad. So they'll work until they don't. But today I'm going to start preparing to get the engine in. Not that it's going to actually accomplish anything because the engine doesn't run yet. There's no wiring done. There's no, of course, exhaust, turbo stuff done, but I just want to, that's kind of like a milestone, just getting the engine in place, laying it in place, and then I can kind of mock the turbos up and see what I'm going to use for manifolds or headers, or if I'm going to make something. Start getting the hot side stuff done because I have the turbos, I have the wastegates, I have the blow-off valve, boost controller all got to go there. I've got my line lock, that's got to go in place. So a lot of stuff in the engine bay that requires the engine to be in the engine bay. So let's do it. Well, truck's in. The truck is in. Man, I can't get this thing in frame at all. And Tesla's back in. Floor is swept except for right there. I'm gonna go and pull the hood off, and then I might spray down the engine bay just to kind of clean it up a little bit. I don't like getting greasy if I don't have to. So I'll clean that up a little bit, get any old oil, because I have blown up several engines in this and usually it buries everything in oil. So, you know, I'll do what I can. Let me get this hood off. And also, before I put anything in here, of course I need the transmission, which I don't think the transmission is in here right now. No, transmission's in the container. So I'll grab the transmission, the flywheel, the clutch kit. We'll assemble all of that, and this should go in really, really fast. Well, I got the transmission and all the related parts brought in last night, and it tipped over and poured a bunch of oil on the ground. And you know that had to be Synchro Mesh $25 bottle fluid. Yeah, that's how this stuff goes. But anyway, I'm going to take the engine off the stand here. I gotta move most of the Prius out of the way. We had to strip the interior because that thing has mold or something going on. And I'm going to clean up the flange that's over here where the transmission bolts to it, so it's got a good contact and good ground. And bolt it all together. And I'll probably talk myself again into cleaning that up with a rag. Because I've said it so many times on video and it's still dirty. And to get this thing level, I've got a new tool. I've never had one of these before, never used one, but this is an engine leveler. And it was on sale for a really good price. So I figured I might as well buy it. So this is the one that you can put an impact gun on right here and go zzz, and then kind of lift the engine, level it up. Wow, this is so cool. Look at this thing. That's pretty heavy duty. Dude, that is heavy. Oh, and it's got a crank handle too. How cool is that? So I can lift it. By this chain. Have these clamps bolted to the engine, and then basically just keep screwing this in or out to level it up. And you can see it leveling out now. That is so cool. I think it was on sale for like 15 bucks or something, so I couldn't even pass it up. Like, that's wild. Well, this thing's made a little bit of a pain. The chain's almost too long, so the cherry picker had to go higher than I'm used to. And then when I tried to shorten it up a bunch, it wouldn't connect. So I kind of found a middle ground there. It works really, really well from what I can tell so far. It hasn't fallen off anyway. We'll see if we can get some weight down on this thing. So cool. I like it. But it works. It works well. A couple small things I change about it, but one thing I kind of want to change right now is bend this handle out a little bit because it's striking. There we go. This is so cool. That works perfect. It's way better than having a ratchet strap come from the transmission up to here and tighten it a click at a time until it's level, and then that falls off. I'm not going to push my luck. Put this down a little bit. There we go. Now I can bolt the transmission on. Well, I almost did it. I've never done it yet, but I almost forgot to put the pilot bearing in. And I looked on the shelf and we didn't have one. Luckily, I caught the courier and we got one at the Grand Falls. So part number is right here, 57080 National. And it's not the bearing, sorry, it's not a bushing type, it's actually a bearing. So you can see all the little needle bearings in there, and it's got a seal. This side here is where the pilot shaft will go in because it's tapered, and it helps to install the bearing or install the transmission easier. Then that one just kind of pops in there. And I usually push it in until it's flush, and I just give it a couple smacks with a hammer with a socket on there. Just try not to beat it up or anything. And then put a little bit of grease in there. Alrighty, so I've got a socket that's a little bit bigger than the pilot bearing. That way I won't push it in too far. I'm gonna give it a couple taps to get it to start. And it's bottomed out nice and flush. There was no grease in here, so I just kind of pumped some red and tacky in there. You don't need a bunch because, well, that getting out around your clutch and your flywheel, making it slip, that's never a good day. I just went ahead with a wire wheel on a drill there and went and cleaned that up a lot. And oh geez, I almost missed the important part. Well, that's good, but this is looking kind of sorry. Yeah, it ain't looking so hot. It's kind of rusty, not a huge deal. I don't really like all the black spots here. That's from heat and stuff, because I absolutely terrorize it, but I think I'm just gonna go sand it out and see how it looks. So what I've got here is my random orbit sander, or DA sander, or whatever you want to call it. And it spins this way, and it also, I think it's oscillates or whatever, or rotates around this way. And here is an 80 grit stick it pad. I'm going with 80 grit because you cannot do damage to this thing. I don't know why. I think it's because there's silicone in the metal and it does not take abrasion well. You really can't damage these, only with the ridiculous amount of heat. So I'm just going to clean this off so that this old junky stuff doesn't plug up the sandpaper right away and ruin the pad. So see if I can get this sticky pad on without messing it up the first time. These Norton stickets are awesome too. They don't fly off like the cheaper stuff do. Close enough. Let's give it a quick go over. So the first question is, am I an idiot? Yes. Don't let anybody tell you different. Because nobody sands on a flywheel. Just people like me. But look at it. I got like 5 minutes into this thing and it looks awful, but it's less awful than it was. Really, we're just trying to knock the glaze off of it. There's no eye spots or anything. I don't know if this would be considered a low spot or not, but like my clutch takes up this whole setup here. This is a clutch from like a K30 and it's massive. Like that takes up that whole side, so it's not like this thing is going to slip. A couple small chunks taken out there that I can see now. It's kind of scary. And it's taking a lot of punishment. It's had 150 km/h burnouts in third and fourth gear. It's seen like 7,500 RPM burnouts when I had the two-step turned up a lot higher than I expected that it was. But it didn't slip, so I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep burning around on this for a few minutes, just till my arm gets tired anyway. This sand pad has not moved. This thing is wicked. It's way better than the real cheap stuff. And yeah, I know there's a lot of hot spots in it, and it's porous looking, but whatever. A flywheel, I couldn't get one here through CarQuest. There's nothing on Keystone. So I looked it up on Rock Auto, and it's like 160 bucks or something Canadian, which is not bad. But I've got a lot of stuff to buy on this. This flywheel works right now. I don't want to wait 2 weeks for it to come in. So it's getting this one. Not a big deal. If it slips really, really bad over the summer, I will take the engine back out and put a new flywheel in. But for right now, this will work fine. Well, I turned the trunk around again. I thought, if I'm going to clean the engine bay, and it looks kind of garbagey, I might as well paint it again. Because down here, you know, stuff's starting to flake off, and it's kind of looking gross. And, you know, there's metal showing through. That's kind of ugly looking. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to poke the nose out, soak it, power wash it, and then maybe tomorrow I'll paint it. Well, I can't hear anything or see anything because it's like way too bright. Yeah, it's power on. Huh, Cass is here. It's like the first wash that got ever. Oh. I don't have the other tip on it, I can't wash it off. Oh god, I just got a mouthful of it. Okay, bye, Cass. It's gonna be so clean. Do a burnout. Oh, it's all-wheel drive. Do a donut. It's not gonna do that. Okay, it's soaped up, and I gotta power wash it really fast because it's actually starting to freeze. God, it's so cold today. Well, I'm back to the shop. Day later, it's all dry. A little bit dusty, but that'll just be adhesion promoter for the paint. And I bought 2 paintbrushes. Hi, Lillian. Lily and Chloe can't climb in here because they're going to be absolutely full of paint with their good school clothes on. I'm going to jump in there and go painting. And shortly, hopefully, I'll be able to get the engine ready to go in. Well, that's looking really, really good. It ain't perfect. It's absolutely not perfect. I kind of wish right now that I did take the cab off so that I could have painted it all up and under here really nice. But man, the paint's still wet, so it looks kind of funky, but well, it's all black. And I didn't paint the bases where the engine mounts are because that is one main ground for the engine. Even though I do run ground straps from the engine to the firewall, the engine to the block. Are you a train? You're a giggle train. Time for nappy buzzies. So now I'm gonna leave this for a couple of days. What are you doing? You're hilarious. So I'm gonna leave this for a couple of days and let it dry. And hopefully the next step will be, well, I gotta bolt the engine and transmission together, so I might do that in a little bit. But yeah, soon. Well, it's been a few days. The engine bay is all dry. And I'm not a great painter, so it doesn't look amazing when the light hits it right, like that. It doesn't look perfect at all, but whatever. It looks good, it's black. The whole frame is black, everything. That wiring looks gross. So, I haven't been feeling great the last couple days. I haven't touched the truck in like a week. So this video is gonna be like 2 weeks or longer in the making. And it won't be delayed or anything like that, but that's it. So I haven't been feeling amazing. So I'm not gonna stress myself out too much. I do want to get the engine in before this video is out. And I've got a couple small things to do with that. Like the flywheel is done. It turned out okay. It's not great, but it looks decent. And I've got to sand out this here. This is just where the clutch face here was rested in on top of this one here for a while, and it's got some marks or whatever left on it, and it's a little bit shiny. So I'm going to sand this out also, and then I will install it on the engine, get the transmission bolted on, and then I'll stab it all in, and that'll be good for me, I think. I'm going to pull some wiring out of the truck because it's all going to be done, and I hate the way it looks. I really don't like that big tangle of wire there, and I've been pulling it out a little bit at a time. So yeah, I'm gonna pretty much put it on time lapse for a little bit here and see what I can get done. I just sanded it out, and there's still a shadow of it there, but it's pretty uniform looking. 90% of it is gone anyway. You can kind of see it when I get the camera just right, but that's not too bad. I'm gonna go bolt the flywheel on, and then bolt the clutch on, and then the transmission. This is getting exciting. I'll forget that I'm sick as soon as this thing is under the hood there. Well, it's as good a time as any to put the flywheel on. I'm just gonna clean up the back of the flange a little bit. I've got the pilot bearing in, so that's fine. Everything's cleaned up. I cleaned up the back flange so that there won't be any vibrations. And just gotta line it up and throw it on. The spec for this is 75 foot-pounds from the flywheel to the crank. So I'm just gonna run those down with the little electric impact and then torque them on. 75 foot-pounds doesn't seem like a lot until you got an engine that's doing this, and a flywheel that wants to turn, or a crank that wants to turn. So I'll see how well I do that. I don't know why I put him upside for that. I like to hammer them down just to make sure that everything's going to be straight, flush, not warped up. And 6. And these are really shallow head bolts, so I got to make sure that the ratchet isn't tipped one way or another because I end up stripping the heads out of them. And 74. 6. Well, that was successful. Clutch. Clean all off. Yeah. Now I don't know why, but my flywheel doesn't have dowels in it that I thought were supposed to align the clutch disc or the pressure plate. But mine doesn't have it, and as far as I remember, it never did. So that's kind of odd, but okay. This is what I use to align all my clutches, and it's an input shaft out of an old 3-speed manual transmission that I scrapped, and I thought it'd be perfect because it's got a nice beefy handle here, and I can hold it all up and line it up correctly. And it works really well. It served me well over the last number of years. So now I can just pick it up and head it up around there. And then I can just kind of hold it like this and it'll hold itself, not like one of those stupid little plastic ones that don't work well. Now I just gotta figure out which way the pressure plate goes on. Right there. Perfect. Good. I'll check this again just to be sure. Bottom's all the way out. This is great. This is working absolutely fine. I'm not quite sure how well this is going to work because I've got to hook the transmission onto the engine like that. So, we'll see. It's not real heavy. Truck kind of is in the way, but. So, as long as the input shaft splines into the clutch here fine, it should slide right on. I've got my dowels in the block, I didn't forget those. Let's see if I can nip my fingers, I guess. Every time. Come on. That never happens. It never works that well. That's great. I didn't even hurt my back that much. Not that much. Get all these put in. One thing I love about these engines is the oil pan is part of the bell housing circle of bolts, so there's a load of strength there. That's pretty sweet. Well, it's ready to go in, and I can still tell that I'm not feeling under the weather because I just got like stupid warm just working around that little bit. So a little more rest days might be good, but it's ready to go in. The engine leveler and everything is all already hooked up. So attack plan is to get this tail shaft just above my transmission mount right there, and it's kind of hard to see it, but it should be fairly easy to do. I pulled it out with no issues. So I gotta kind of stick it down here like this and then lift it up and push in. So, not much to it. And I'm hoping that everything works well. A guy mentioned, he was like, you're not gonna pick it up by those little tiny bolts right there. I was like, well, you know, they're plenty strong. I've picked up these engines with these plenty of times and no problem at all. But if it falls down and breaks everything, you can say I told you so. And I will gladly accept that. So, let's put it in. Well, there goes absolutely nothing, I guess. This leveler is so cool. Let's see. This is fancy mechanical here. I'm hoping that this is going to lift it up like high enough. Probably more, maybe about this high yet. Jeez. Wow. Well, that scared the life out of me. long as it doesn't want to lean this way or that way, I'll be fine. I don't really want it to lean, beat in front of the truck or anything. Just a little bit more. Controller. So the truck is too low. It's hitting the control arm right there and right there. Sweet. Let's try that. Man, this thing makes work so much easier. Wow. So much easier. Forgot to take off the shifter tower. Fun. Okay, I got the shifter tower off and it was way harder than I'd like to admit.
Don't put an engine in by yourself when you're under the weather. It's no fun. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't think it was ever this hard to get in. Everything I didn't want it to hit, it's hitting. Every little piece. I guess that's hard enough. Oh, we're getting there. Are you serious? That was rusted on the knock sensors. This thing. I hope we're going down in place.
Yeah.
So that.
Do you feel now?
Not bad. Not great. Just figured this get some motivation up. Oh jeez.
60 English.
Yep.
Gloves up.
We'll be in a couple minutes. I just gotta get every little piece that's hanging on and oh dear. The knock sensors were hanging on, the oil feed was hanging on. 2 or 3 more of these. Just being contrarian as well.
There's a lot of room in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of room when you get it in there. Trying to get it in is the hard part.
Okay, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen you on.
The levelers, I've never used one before today. Just screw it back and the engine sits right down in place. And that's it. Any changes? There's a lot of room.
Hey, do that.
Installed. I wish it looked easy. Half hour ago. Oh no. Truck's too low.
Put it down.
Oh what?
The stool's keeping it up.
Well, the fenders are strong anyway. Oh man. Man, it was hard to get it. I'm
I
fighting with
never
it for a half
realized
hour.
how long she was.
What's that?
Never realized how long she actually was.
Yeah, I could bottom this out, but jumping on the front fenders.
What?
And there's drag shocks on it, so it's like pretty bouncy. Oh, absolutely. Man, it's low now. Sweet. Maybe 100 pounds worth of turbos on it. And intercooler and all that.
Man, on that.
Excuse me.
We got truck fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle.
Hello, Austin.
Hello.
You were a cameo. Man is in there, though, eh? Looks good. Jeez, I gotta get back and see how low that is. I forget how low this thing is when there's no engine in it. Yes, I like it. Engine into the grill. I'd like not to have intercooler in there so you can just see engine and turbos. Wicked. I set the engine right back into the firewall there, so to keep the weight behind the front axle.
Yeah.
And it's only about 4 inches of engine right on top of the front axle right there, and it helps a lot with weight distribution. Oh, trip up myself. Oh man.
Well, it's in. I want to say it went in with no issues whatsoever, but it didn't. But whatever.
So I kind of noticed something that was an accident, but still worked. Look how tight that drain is to the frame. Now it's going to work because I can still get my hand down between here, but this side's a little bit tighter. I can still get my hand there so the hose can still bend and kind of hook into there, but dude, that is tight.
But it's going to work. So I'm beyond happy with that. One thing that I'm going to have trouble with is my manifold on the driver's side, which is what I've had trouble with forever. And that's going to be trouble getting it to come up and match up with the turbo.
Because look how close it is right here. Like I can just get my hand here. So I don't even know if I'll be able to flip a manifold so it can come up. I might be able to, but I'm not quite sure.
I don't know if I have one here right now or not, but I'll try it after anyway. It doesn't have to go far. It's just got to come up to where the hood is.
Like right here, pretty much right up here in this crevice here, and then go down that way. So it's not a big deal.
But I'm hoping it's going to work. I'm hoping that it's going to be a lot easier than I expect it's going to be, which I don't expect it to be very easy at all. And I've never done twins before, obviously. Before, I always had a driver's side manifold in its regular orientation, go down around the back of the engine, come up passenger side into one big turbo, not 2 small turbos. After I get this engine, everything all bolted in, I'm going to move the wiring out of the way, get rid of all that, and start fabbing up turbos. Start fabbing up the exhaust because, well, the engine obviously is in place. I can't do any wiring until the turbos are done because I don't know which way the manifolds are going yet. I don't know which way, where the wastegates are going to have to be, all that stuff. And I don't want to have my whole wiring harness done where it comes from the PCM up across top of the engine and the manifold intersect directly through it. That would be less than ideal. So I'd rather do my wiring, say, last and do the wiring around everything else because wire is flexible, exhaust pipe is not. So that's my next plan of attack, and just because I want to see what the turbos look like under the hood.
So I'm gonna have to get rid of this bar here because, as we saw before, this opening on the hood, the bar is pretty much right in the middle of it, and I want my turbos to be right here, right where this bar is. So I might be able to use it for mock-up or something, or to help mount the turbos.
But it's going to be very temporary. I think I'll put the truck up on the lift so we can have a quick look up and underneath it and see how everything looks there. I was going to shut her down here, but I kind of want to get it up first and look in under, look how much clearance I have for the oil pan, transmission, my frame, stuff like that. So let's have a look.
Well, that's kind of cool looking. there's a lot of wheel travel actually. This tire goes right on up into the fender when it's down on his weight. And you can see here, Peekaboo oil pan. It's about a ½ inch or an inch below the cross member here, and that's why we can see a line of scratches there. It's after contacting the road a handful of times, but the frame looks good. Everything there is ugly, but it looks good. And I got a lot of bundles of wires and stuff here to get rid of this old stuff here and take off the battery cables until I'm ready for all that, just to clean it up so I can work on it sensibly, take the fuel hose out of it and stuff. But you can see how much room I have here. I can actually remove the oil pan and all the rods and everything without undoing my engine mounts. So that makes it really easy when I break a ring land back here. All I gotta do is pull the heads, pull the pan, let go of the rod bolts, pull the rods out, back in again, done. And I can usually have that done, I don't know, in a night or a couple nights. Frampton and Rodney helped me one night and we had it done in like, geez, one day. Back on the road again. So that worked out really, really well actually. So that's a lot done. I'm happy with that. And as long as it took me, because I'm not feeling well, I feel like it was no time. Just a ½ an hour or so, just trying to get it all in. And man, my sinuses are just tickling me today. Getting it all in, and you know, I'm gonna go and put all the bolts in, but that's kind of boring. I'll pull the wiring out of it, pull the hoses and out, stuff out. And then next video, we're gonna start mocking up turbos, start coming up with an idea for manifolds. I don't know if I'll do one log manifold for the left side. I was worried about symmetry. I don't know if I'm worried about symmetry because I just don't have the space for it. So I'll worry about flow and having it not leak and not burn things that don't need to be burned. You know, the engine bay is not going to be overly hot because the radiator is not going to be in the engine bay, and I've got one really big snorkel opening for the front, so it's going to be nice and cool in there. Plus I'm thinking about running 80-20 gas and methanol, so that'll keep intake temperatures down a lot too. So we'll talk about that in another video. But as for now, I'm going to finish it up here because I got a lot done. I've got a lot more to do, but I think I'm going to go home and eat some Tylenol and some orange juice and rest for a couple days. So thanks again for checking out the channel, and thanks to all the new subscribers. Thanks to YouTube members and patrons. If you want to check out Patreon, it's patreon.com/stationroadratrod, and the YouTube members link is down here. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.